Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I now call to order the meeting of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission. Today is Monday, January 26, 2026. The time is 10:16. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Roberson, Commissioner El Hassan,
Present.
Commissioner Lara,
Present.
Commissioner Londo,
Present.
Commissioner Barker, Commissioner Gasco, Commissioner White,
Present.
Commissioner Welch.
Present.
Thank you, Madam Chair. With 6 of 8 commissioners present, you have a quorum, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Attorney Satchel. Moving on to Agenda Item 2, Appointment of Chair Pro Tem. As the offices of Chair and Vice Chair are currently vacant, the first order of business is the election of a Chairman Pro Tem to preside over this meeting until the election of a chairperson. Nominations are now open.
I'll make a motion to nominate the current sitting secretary, Commissioner Gloria Lara, as Chair Pro Tem for the minor duration of the opening of this meeting.
Commissioner Lara is nominated. Are there further nominations? If not, nominations are closed. Those in favor of Commissioner Lara serving as Chairman Pro Tem, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it, and Commissioner Pro Tem and Commissioner Lara is elected Chairman Pro Tem. Now we will move on to Agenda Item 3, Acknowledgement of Reappointed Commissioner Luke Londo and the appointment of Commissioner Scott Welch. We would like to acknowledge the reappointment of Commissioner Luke Londo. On January 15, 2026, Governor Gretchen Whitmer reappointed Luke Londo as an independent for a second term as a member of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission for a term that commenced on January 15, 2026, and will expire on December 31st, 2029. Commissioner Londo, welcome back. Is there anything you would like to briefly share?
Just want to share how grateful I am to Governor Whitmer for the reappointment and to continue serving with all of my colleagues on this body, as well as the dedicated staff at the Michigan Department of Civil Rights.
Thank you, Commissioner Londo. On January 15th, Governor Gretchen Whitmer appointed Scott Welch as an independent for a term that commenced January 15, 2026, and expires December 31st, 2029. We are pleased to have Mr. Welch serve as a commissioner and look forward to working with him in the pursuit and execution of our constitutional and statutory responsibilities as members of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission. Mr. Welch, please raise your right hand for the oath of office and repeat after me. I, Scott Welch, do solemnly swear or affirm
I, Scott Welch, do solemnly swear and affirm,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of the Michigan Civil Rights Commissioner
of the
accor- according to the best of my ability.
Okay, part of that.
I'm sorry. The duties of the office of the Michigan Civil Rights Commissioner
The duties of the office of the Civil Rights Commission,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Commissioner Welch, Do you have any brief comments?
Just briefly, again, thank you to Governor Whitmer, Executive Director Johnson, and Michigan Department of Civil Rights staff, the citizens of Michigan, and my esteemed fellow commissioners. And please know that I'm honored to serve alongside of you as we collectively serve the citizens of the great state of Michigan. And the time of now, as I said, is always an appropriate time for champions of justice to continue. And now more than ever, we need to be more vigilant in our push against injustice. Continue speaking out, continue leaning in, and even continue disassembling those things which hurt, harm, or endanger. And we do this together. I look forward to working with all of you, adding value to the great work that you do and to the impact that you're already making. And let us continue the work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Welch. We now come to the 2026 election of officers agenda item. In order to proceed with the election, we will first hear from the nominating committee. The nominating committee for the 2026 election of officers was appointed during the October 27, 2025 meeting. The committee includes Commissioner El Hassan serving as chair, Commissioner Barker, and Commissioner Roberson. Commissioner El Hassan, would you please provide an update from the nominating committee and announce the slate of names set forth by the nominating committee for the positions of commission chair, vice chair, and secretary?
Good morning again, everyone. Yeah, this was almost as difficult as choosing who was going to win between the Broncos and the Patriots last night. Clearly, I'm not a happy fan this morning. Still go Broncos. I think the Patriots stole it. Anyways, we have a number of nominations that were made, and it was not as difficult as last night's game, both to watch and end with. We have the nomination of chair as Luke Londo, the nomination of vice chair as Gloria Lara, and secretary Richard White. Those are the three nominations that the committee received. And as a consequence of that, no fighting amongst the commissioners, and I will make the motion to move those nominations forward.
Thank you, Commissioner El Hassan and the nominating committee for your service.
The motion is on the floor.
We will vote on, okay. Nominations are, there being no further nominations for chair, vice chair, or secretary. Without objection, nominations are closed. Nominations being closed and there being no nomination other than Commissioner Londo for chair, Commissioner Lara for vice chair, Commissioner White for secretary. Is there a motion to elect Commissioner Londo as chair, Commissioner Lara as vice chair, and Commissioner White as secretary by acclamation vote of aye or no? The motion has been made by Commissioner El Hassan. Is there a second? We have support from Commissioner Barker. All in favor of Commissioner Londo serving as chair, Commissioner Lara serving as vice chair, and Commissioner White serving as secretary, indicate by saying aye.
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 Those opposed indicate by saying no. The yeas have it, and Commissioner Londo is elected as chair, Commissioner Lara is elected as vice chair, and Commissioner White is elected as secretary.
Congratulations.
Yes, yes. Sorry, I'm reading the script, and because of the weather today, it was a little bit difficult to get here in sufficient time to review it. So now my closing remarks as chair. And congratulations to our 2026 commission officers, Chair Londo, Secretary White, and myself as vice chair. Yes. And Chair Londo, I am officially passing the gavel to you. Congratulations.
brings us to agenda item number 5, acknowledgement of my friend, former Commissioner David Worthams. We would like to acknowledge former Commissioner and Chair David Worthams, who is with us here today, and I might add, he drove all the way from Kalamazoo to join us. Yeah, absolutely. David Worthams was appointed to the Michigan Civil Rights Commission on May 26, 2022, representing Republicans, and succeeded former Commissioner Ira Combs. Mr. Worthams's term expired on December 31st, 2025. During his tenure, Mr. Worthams exemplified a strong commitment and leadership in a number of roles, serving as chair of the nominating committee for the 2023 election of officers, chair of the Voting Rights Committee in 2023 and 2024, vice chair of the commission in 2024, member of the Juvenile Justice Priority Committee in 2024, and a member of the nominating committee for the 2025 election of officers, and finally, chair of the commission in 2025, as well as chair of the Executive Director Assessment Standing Committee. David, we honor you today with this service award, a small token of our appreciation, and the award reads as follows. We proudly honor David Q. Worthams for 4 years of leadership, excellence, and commitment in defense of the civil rights of the people of Michigan and the prevention of discrimination as a Michigan Civil Rights Commissioner, Vice Chair, and Chair, serving from May of 2022 to December of 2025. We thank you for your service. Would you like to say a few words?
Well, good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. As you know, I'll never turn down a chance to say a few words.
Should have brought your spin table with you today.
Let me just say thank you. Thank you for walking the path with me for the last 4 years. It was my honor to serve with all of you, and I wish our new commissioner, Commissioner Welch, the best of luck. I tried to keep the seat warm for you. I know you can take the flag from here, and we'll do well. I just wanted to share with you something that would be read at masses throughout the world today. The first reading comes from the second letter of St. Paul to Timothy, in which Paul exhorts Timothy by saying, "For God did not give us a spirit of cowardice, but rather of power and love and self-control. So do not be ashamed of your testimony to our Lord, nor of me, a prisoner for his sake, but bear your share of the hardship for the gospel with the strength that comes from God." You know, I chose to step away from the commission so that I could focus on ministry and read words like that. And I want to exhort all of you as you continue your terms on the commission, do not be afraid of doing what is right. Do not be ashamed of the responsibilities that the governor and the Senate in their concurrence have given you in serving the people of the state of Michigan and pointing out things that need to be changed and pointing things that need to be strengthened and pointing out ways that we can come together as a people, because in these times we so desperately need to come together. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for this wonderful tribute. May God bless you always, and thank you for everything that you are going to do this year. Thank you.
Thank you, David. The next item is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve or amend the agenda?
So moved.
Motion has been made by Commissioner El Hassan. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Welch. Is there any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda as submitted, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and the agenda is approved. Good morning once again, and welcome to the meeting of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission. To those who are joining us virtually, we are meeting at the Icon event venue located in downtown Detroit, just off of the Detroit riverfront. Before we continue with our opening matters agenda item, I will ask our General Counsel and Special Advisor, Lamont Satchel, to provide the role and authority of the Commission for our audience. Attorney Satchel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Michigan Civil Rights Commission was created by the Michigan Constitution in 1963 to safeguard constitutional and legal guarantees against discrimination. Commission is charged with investigating alleged discrimination against any person because of religion, race, color, or national origin, genetic information, sex, sexual orientation, gender identification, age, marital status, height, weight, arrest record, source of income, and physical and mental disability. The Michigan Department of Civil Rights was created in 1965 and serves as the operational arm of the Commission. Passage of the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act and the Persons with Disabilities Civil Rights Act in 1976 further clarified specific protections guaranteed under Michigan law. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Satchel. Moving on to item B, recognition of significant observances in January. There are several significant observances during the month of January relevant to civil rights, and we would like to recognize the following. January 3rd is the 62nd anniversary of the first meeting of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission on January 3rd, 1964. On January 13th, 1977, the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act was signed into law. On January 19th, the nation celebrated what would have been the 97th birthday of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., whose actual birthday is January 15th, 1929. On January 20th, the nation celebrated the 10th annual National Day of Racial Healing, which is observed annually on the day after Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It provides an opportunity for individuals and communities across the nation to come together and engage in conversations that foster racial healing. The observance, launched in 2017 by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, builds on the work of its Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation partners who are committed to advancing racial equity and addressing the systemic and historical impacts of racism. It encourages people to confront racial equity issues with honesty and empathy, helping to build trust and restore community connections. Tomorrow, January 27th, is International Holocaust Remembrance Day. The day honors the 6 million people who died in Nazi Germany and remembers the sacrifice of those who fought to liberate the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp in Poland. Lastly, on January 30th, we will celebrate the life of Fred T. Korematsu, a civil rights activist who objected to the internment of Japanese Americans during World War II. He passed away on March 30th, 2005, and we salute these great American heroes and acknowledge the vital and continuing need for racial healing. That moves us on to C, public comment protocol. We will have our Deputy Executive Director, Kim Woolridge, come forward to provide the protocol for public comment. Ms. Woolridge, you have the floor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chair Lando and Commissioners. Please note, there will be 2 opportunities for the audience to provide public comment during today's meeting. If attendees wish to speak during the public comment portion of the meeting, you may sign up to do so within the next 10 minutes by completing a public comment form. If you require assistance, please notify a MDCR staff member at the sign-in table. When it's time for public comment, Chair Lando will call on attendees in the order in which we receive their request to speak. The public comment time frame for speaking will be 2 minutes. There will be a visual timer showing the following colors: green for 2 minutes, yellow for 30 seconds, and red for stop. The timekeeper will verbally remind each speaker when 30 seconds remains. Please also be aware that MDCR staff will verbally warn any speakers only once if they use inappropriate, inflammatory, or disrespectful language. If use of that language continues, the speaker will be asked to stop commenting. Also, the Commission is the final judge of complaints that are filed with MDCR. Members of the public are not allowed to discuss open MDCR cases during public comment. That completes the public comment protocol. Chair, I turn the meeting back over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Woolridge. The next agenda item is adoption of the consent agenda. The following items from the agenda have been identified as those that may not require commission discussion prior to being adopted or received. Items may be removed from the consent agenda on the request of any commission member. Items not removed will then be moved for adoption by general consent without debate. Removed items will be taken up later on the agenda as indicated. For this meeting, Anthony Lewis, Division Director of Community Engagement and Education, has been removed from the consent agenda and will be reporting out on the activity of the division. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Motion has been made by Commissioner Alhassan and seconded by Secretary White. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Our next agenda item is approval of minutes. We have received and reviewed the draft minutes from the October 27th, 2025 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
So move.
Moved by Vice Chair Lara. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Barca. Is there any discussion or revisions to the minutes? All in favor of the motion to approve the October 27th minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and the October 27th minutes are approved. Our next agenda item is public comment. Again, if our audience would like to give public comment, please complete one of the gold forms made available at the registration table. Ms. Sanford will collect the forms. As a reminder, we will be taking comments in the order received. You will have 2 minutes to speak before the commission. Please note that our timekeeper is Sabrina Fomby. Ms. Sanford, have we received all of the forms? I'd like to call up Antonio. And good morning. And for the record, please state your first and last name and your city of residence.
Thank you for having me. Antonio Robinson, 11, stay in Detroit, Michigan. My address, you need to know that as well, 13638 Falst Avenue, Detroit, Michigan, 48228.
Thank you. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, give you a little background of what's going on. I sustained a documented work-related back injury on November 28, 2022 at Ford Motor Company. Followed employer procedures for reporting injury and submitting medical restriction. Relied on employer's medical department to properly process medical documentation. Systemic medical handling concerns. Medical documentation was mishandled or not properly logged. Medical restrictions were reclassified inconsistently with prior records. Reclassification affected work status and job availability. Employment impact. Lost work status following medical handling issues. Termination from employment after reliance on internal medical process. Loss of income, benefits, and employment stability twice. I haven't had a paycheck in 3 years and still keep a positive mental attitude. Attempts to resolve internally. Utilize union grievance procedures and internal appeals. Sought corrections through internal channels. Internal process did not resolve the underlying issues. The purpose of addressing this to the commission, to raise awareness of systemic breakdowns affecting injured workers, to encourage oversight and consistent applications of policies, to emphasize the importance of actual medical records handling and employment decisions.
Thank you very much. We will offer an additional opportunity for public comment toward the end of this meeting, which is agenda item 14. Our next agenda item is division and other reports. We will start with our executive director, Attorney John E. Johnson, Jr. Good morning, Director Johnson. We have received your written report, and you have the floor.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Happy New Year to all the commissioners and everyone in the room. Appreciate this opportunity to present on behalf of the department. As Commissioner Londo, Chair Londo noted, your packet does include my report. I'll just make some highlights from that report. First would be our personnel report. As of December 20th, the department had 186 total full-time employees and 2 student assistants. Also make note that Vicki Levengood, our communications director, retired on December the 1st. She had been with the state of Michigan for more than 17 years and with the department for more since 2013, so we certainly wish her well in her retirement. In terms of our budget, as reported earlier, the department began fiscal year 25 with a total budget of $39,017,038, which included ongoing general fund dollars in the amount of $26,200,000 and 14 work projects totaling $12,817,048. During fiscal year 25, the department spent a total of $28.5 million. This included $26.5 million in general fund dollars, $1 million in U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission funds, $900,000 in U.S. Housing and Urban Development funds, and $100,000 in indirect private and local funds. As for fiscal year 2026, which began on October 1st, 2025, we were authorized for $28,439,700 and 174 full-time employees. For the first quarter of the fiscal year, we have spent $6.4 million. I referenced the work projects earlier. As of October 1st, there was $11.3 million in the general fund for work projects. I included in my report a list of those work projects. You can read those if you're not already at your leisure. And it indicates the amount of the original work project, how much has been spent, and what the balance of each work project is as of this report. For our enforcement division, I mentioned earlier, we do have a contract with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. They have yet to issue contract numbers for fiscal year 26. However, as of December 31st, 2025, we completed the following duly filed investigations, 507 case completions and 33 intakes. We also have the contract with Housing and Urban Development, which runs from July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, and currently we have 231 investigation case closures. In terms of current intake and current caseloads, we have 2,206 new complaint issue cases were received for the first quarter of the year. That'd be October 2025 through December 2025. This is an average of 735 complaints per month received in the first quarter of fiscal year 26. For the first quarter of the year, we have completed 1,023 investigations. By comparison, during that same time period last year, we had completed 705 investigations. So we have an increase of 318 investigations, or 45%, during this same time period. As of December 31st, 2025, we had 2,470 open investigations. Of that 2,470 open investigations, only 533 were more than 1 year old. Last quarter, that amount was 687 backlog cases. So there's been certainly some progress in eliminating our backlog. It continues to be progress. As you recall, when we first started, I believe the backlog was well over about 1,500 cases. And for our community engagement and education division, our CEED director, Anthony Lewis, will provide an oral report later in this meeting following mine. For our development, innovation, and access division, I reported at the last meeting that we would file a final report with the legislature on November 30th, 2025. We did do that, and that report has been emailed to all of you. The report does not represent a comprehensive study of Native American boarding school studies in Michigan, but provides transparency on the process and recommendations for next steps. The department is as disappointed with the results as everyone else, but remain committed to avoiding further harm to the tribal nations. The department is prioritizing the needs of the victims of the Michigan Native American boarding schools and is thankful for our ongoing partnerships with Michigan's tribal nations. We continue to affirm that adopting the reports we receive from Kaufman and Associates risk further harm to the impacted communities and have therefore already asked the Office of the Attorney General to consider avenues to recover some of the taxpayer funds spent on this project. In terms of our legislative activity, this report from Annie Urasky, our legislative liaison, reports that Governor Whitmer signed 74 bills into law during the last session. That's one of the lowest in the history of the state. She's tracking a number of pieces of legislation. Again, those are included in my packet and included in my report. From our strategic initiatives and public information division, during the past few months, the department solicited a couple of bids from various vendors and entities around the state for the purpose of assisting us with developing a 3 to 5 year strategic plan. We recently met with Jason Wilkinson from the Office of Continuous Improvement as part of the Department of Technology Management and Budget to gauge their ability to help. After discussing the services offered by OCI, we agreed that they were the best fit due to Mr. Wilkinson's experience and expertise in this area. He has assisted several state departments, and we left our meeting convinced that he will be a valuable partner. And the bonuses is that his services are free. Some of the early bids we had solicited went as high as $50,000. So this would allow us to save that amount of money and work with DTMB to develop our strategic plan. One of our main goals is to examine and redesign our service delivery processes. We would like to be more efficient, given the increasing intake and a probable diminution of resources over the next few years. The planning process is expected to be completed within the next 3 to 4 months. We hope to have a strategic plan before this commission, if not at the April meeting, then certainly at the July meeting. That ends my report.
Thank you, Director Johnson, for your report. Commissioners, are there any questions?
Chair?
Vice Chair Lara?
Yes, thank you, Director Johnson. I especially like your focus on strategic planning and looking at the future. I think it bodes well for the future of the Civil Rights Department that you are really focused on ensuring that your strategy is clear and defined and accessible, as well as communicated beyond the department. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner Lara.
Commissioner Al Hassan?
Thank you very much for your report. Always so substantive and informative, and I know the department is doing exceptional work, particularly as it relates to backlog cases. I know when I first joined the commission, that was one of the greatest concerns, and there's been a lot of progress made. So notwithstanding that, however, I am going to lift a little bit of some additional concern on the open investigations, just under 2,500, and recognizing that only 533 are only more than 1 year old. My first question is, how long is it typically where a case remains open before the investigation is completed?
Thank you for that question, Commissioner El Hassan. The Office of Attorney General did an audit of our enforcement division, as you may recall. At that time, they indicated it took 19 months for an investigation to be completed. Now the average is 311 days.
Okay.
So we're below 1 year. And the goal for the department, and thank you, Attorney Marcelina Trevina, for tremendous work in this area, is to cut that down between 6 and 9 months. So we're working towards that goal now.
So given the just under 320 days of potential completion of when you start the investigation, so when you complete it, and the fact that there's just under 540 cases that are over a year old, my additional inquiry is whether there's any budgeted positions for additional investigators to be brought on board to try to address that backlog.
Yes, there is. Again, additional staff, they've already posted to hire additional 20 investigators, and the money that we have in our work project will fund those positions. So yes, we intend. We were at one point over 200 staff members. We have lost a few along the way because of the limited term label that's attached to those, so people have understandably moved on to find more secure employment. But again, we have reposted. I think we're in the process of soliciting resumes, interviewing, so we intend to gear back up and move that number back up to where it was. And again, Ms. Trevino has been a tremendous valuable asset in this, and she's indicated that, and if she's given the permission to hire those staff that are needed in order to make sure that we complete these cases in a timely fashion.
Oh, I know how incredible she is. I have no doubt. I just think this is one of the most important functions of the department, and people look to the department for, progress and completion and some responsiveness. And so that's why I lift it up. I know there's a lot of good work being done, but I think it's also important that we keep these cases moving as much as we possibly can in our power.
And we agree wholeheartedly with you, Commissioner El Hassan. That is the main goal, the main mission of the department, enforcement. And we focus on that. The other goal is, of course, education, and Mr. Lewis will speak to that during his report. But again, 2/3 of our staff is devoted to the enforcement process, because that is the priority of the department.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate that.
And I certainly recognize that, so thank you so much.
Are there any other questions? Thank you again, Director. We will now move on to the next agenda item, General Counsel Report from Attorney Lamont Satchel. Good morning, Mr. Satchel. We have received your written report, and you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I only have one update with respect to the internal process review that the department has done as it relates to the commission department rules. I would also note that Commissioner El Hassan, who is the chair of the Rules and Policy Committee, has allowed that this would serve as her report as it relates to this matter.
Allowed, I welcome it.
Just being diplomatic. Thank you. This was a year-long process that is coming to its conclusion. The last two steps in the process were a public hearing on this matter, and then the matter going before, and then the policy changes going before JCAR for their approval. This commission held a public hearing on October 27, 2025. October 27, 2025. Notice of the public hearing was published in 3 newspaper publications as required by law. Following the close of the public comment period on October 28, 2025, a set of clean and strike-through copies of the final rules were submitted to MOHAR, and the department prepared and submitted a JCAR, Joint Committee on Administrative Rules Agency report. MOHAR submitted a clean copy of our rules to the Legislative Services Bureau, which formally certified them on November 10, 2025. MOHAR then submitted our JCAR package to the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules on November 12, 2025. The committee has 15 session days, that is days when both the Senate and the House are in session and a quorum is present, to review the rules and either object to the rules, propose the rules be changed, introduce a bill to enact the subject of the rules into law, or waive any remaining session days. The committee also has the option of holding a hearing on the rules. The estimated expiration date for JCAR's 15-day session review period was January the 15th, 2025. On November 12th, 2025, the department formally requested JCAR to waive the remaining session days, and to date we have not received a response to that waiver request. However, since our submission of our JCAR package and our estimation that 15 session days would have ended on January the 15th, turns out that the legislature did not meet for several session days, which pushed the date out. At the time I sent you this report, I submitted this report out to February the 15th. And unfortunately, since then, and that was assuming that they met all the session days since the submission of the report. Unfortunately, they've missed at least I think 2 or 3 session days since then, so that February 15th date will be pushed probably to sometime in later February or probably early March. Again, we still have our request for the waiver of the session days. So whenever that committee convenes, they will take up that matter. But to the extent that they don't accept our waiver, we estimate that it may be somewhere between late February and early March when the rules will be approved and sent over to the Office of the Great Seal. Once they go over to the Office of the Great Seal and they approve them, they will have immediate effect. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Satchel, for your report. Commissioners, are there any questions? Seeing none, we will move on to the next agenda item C, a presentation from Tony Lewis, who serves in the capacity of Director of Community Engagement and Education Division. Mr. Lewis, we have received your written report, and you have the floor.
Well, thank you, and congratulations, Chair Londo, and
Thank you.
And thank you for this opportunity. And also, Director, thank you for this opportunity. I'll be to give my comprehensive report here. I believe I do have about 30 minutes. And I have, no, I'm just joking. But thank you for this opportunity to discuss the great work of the community engagement and education divisions. One of the main things is that we look at we have a few core programming that we look at and that we have right now. We're excited that one of the first things I want to talk about is we launched what's called the Michigan Department of Civil. It's the MDCR Civil Rights Spotlight, and what it is a series, monthly webinar series, and that will also be in person as the weather breaks. We decided the first 3 months of the year here in Michigan, we decided to have them as a webinar, and then from April through September, they will be in person, and they will be in different regions and different areas throughout the state. If you remember, I'm sure if you remember last year, we did the same thing. Commissioner Lara actually participated in one we had in Holland, I believe, last year. So we're going to follow the same format where we'll be going to different places, and the focus will be the different Elliott Larson bases and discriminate, and so people understand what your rights are and what that looks like, and what discrimination based on particular bases and what that looks like. So we're excited that we get to launch. We're excited to be able to launch that particular programming. Also, Director Johnson did speak about our education division. Our education division does a wide range of services. Provides a wide range of services internally and externally also, but mostly internally with some of the work that they have to do. And I want to briefly discuss some of the things that they've done. They've conducted in the last fiscal year alone, they conducted over 60 sessions that they organized and facilitated. And some of those sessions, were some of the training categories, leadership and management. We developed what's called People Lead 101, for managers here, for managers, their development and their growth internally, so that we ensure that they are, they're ready to lead their respective divisions. Also, communicating with competence, peer to manager training. One of the things at MDCR is we pride ourselves on promoting from within, promoting that talent from within. But then that creates those challenges. But now you are someone's peer, and now you're their supervisor. So that's why we created peer to manager training. Also, technical skills, Excel. As you know, we're in a digital age, so everyone has to understand how. Everyone has to understand just simple things of how you use Excel. We have Excel training, Microsoft Planner, using our Microsoft Teams. Yes, using all of the resources that are available to us. Also, we have special topics such as health and safety, employee service program. Also, we have developed a management training curriculum. Well, now all new managers will be going through a curriculum now to ensure that that hits on things like conducting a performance review, and demystifying that, because when you're a first-time manager, conducting a performance review can be very scary. It can be very daunting, in doing such a thing. So demystifying performance reviews. Also, we're currently working on mentoring, internal mentoring, where we've had employees were able to, where some of our colleagues were able to select more senior colleagues to work with and be mentoring. So we currently have a mentoring program internally to also, like I said, to engage each other, and to engage each other, and to that knowledge that you have and that knowledge that we've received over the years in coming through, myself being with the department for 24 years now, understanding that progression from investigator and into leadership. So these are just some of the things that from our education division, that we have internally, and some of the work that they're doing. Now, we also have our community engagement division. And one of the main things that we've done in our community engagement division is I'm not sure if you heard of our program, maybe many of you have. It's called ALPAC. Now, we speak in alphabet soup of acronyms, I'm sure, as you've seen SEED and ALPAC and all those kinds of things. But ALPAC stands for Advocates and Leaders for Police and Community Trust. And the legislature provided $500,000 into our budget for grants to all these local units. Because what we have is, ALPAC is basically regional, where we're in different regions throughout the state. We bring together state, federal, to some extent, and local law enforcement and community leaders, and we discuss on what it takes to build those necessary relationships. So that to build those necessary relationships, so we have positive outcomes when there may be those interactions between the community and law enforcement and the communities they serve. And so some of the things so now out of that $500,000, we've been doing there's been some wonderful things happening. Right now, to date, we've committed to $453,231.83 has been committed to various projects throughout the state. Of those committed funds, we've dispersed $279,000 so far that we've dispersed, but we've got, these funds have been committed. And so far, out of 15 total proposals so far, we have roughly 9 that have been fully committed. We have a couple that I want to highlight. One is called Peace of Mind. They are community sessions. They were done by our organization called Seas of Promise in Grand Rapids. And basically, they were facilitated conversations in different regions throughout Grand Rapids, between Grand Rapids PD and the community that they serve. And one of the things that we're finding is these conversations are vital, because when these conversations are vital. And now when we see nationally what's happening nationally, sometimes unfortunately things that happen nationally happen locally, and it's best to be prepared for those. And it's best to be prepared for those. Also, we have in Greater Lansing. In Lansing, we had a similar. It's called Courageous Conversations. Similar thing when we bring together state and federal to have those difficult discussions, and these are facilitated discussions so that you can be open up, and these are closed discussions, so that there can be a great deal of open and honest conversations that oftentimes you may not have if there's media in the room or so you have to have. These are closed sessions where you can get real work and have real conversations. Also, we had a public safety summit in Grand Rapids. It was called Mastering the Matrix, and it was artificial intelligence and its uses in public safety. And that was in Grand Rapids. So we've got some great work. Got a couple of things coming up. Kalamazoo. We're doing some work with Kalamazoo in the Kalamazoo community. There right now, we're working on a strategic planning program that we just recently approved funding for in the Kalamazoo community with the Kalamazoo County Sheriff, and the City of Kalamazoo PD, along with community leaders there. We also in Jackson. Jackson did something a little bit more innovative. Jackson used the funds for a community project where they brought together law enforcement and community, but basically they refurbished a community playground. And during the process, working together, it was hands-on, but how they did it was they had community and law enforcement actually doing the refurbishing together, working together, which created now those conversations and understanding of seeing people working together, working with each other, which now that space is now a community space that they use now for different programming, bringing law enforcement and community together in the Jackson community. So as you can see, with some of the great things that we're doing here, in the community engagement division. And also, one last thing, so I don't want to. Two more minutes. One last thing is that in our community engagement division, we have some led by our community engagement division is led by Charles Schroeder. Our education division, is led by Danita Wimbush, and one of the things that we do in their regions, in our community engagement division, our specialists they're assigned to respective regions. And also we have what we call cultural, liaisons, which we're kind of working through that a little bit more. But one of the things that Todd Walker, who's our LGBT plus liaison to that community, we're doing some work statewide. We're now, I think, out now working, expanding out to, it's called Outfront in Kalamazoo. It's an organization in Kalamazoo that we're scheduled to meet with the borough to see how we can see what are some of the resources that we could do, given, in terms of under Elliott Larson, or what are some of the ways that how can we be a resource to ensure they understand what our rights are and what our responsibilities are and what their rights are. And also we have different regions from Flint and Saginaw and Lansing, as you know, and some of the great work that's going on in all of our different, all of our different communities throughout the state. So, any questions? There's just so, I can kind of go on. I had a lot more notes, but I want to keep to my time limits.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis, for the presentation. Commissioners, do we have any questions?
I'd just like to make just to really commend you, Mr. Lewis, on the work you've done, particularly in the area where any efforts to bridge the community with law enforcement, I think, are so, it's critical. And I just want to commend you on that work, in particular as it touches our side of the state, and that's the Grand Rapids area. But I actually know of Seeds of Promise, and I know the work that you're doing there. And I just want to say, keep up the great work. And of course, all of our state is significant, but it's nice to kind of see your presence around kind of our area, our neck of the woods. So thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners? Seeing none, we will move on to the next agenda item, Attorney General report from Assistant Attorney General Tanya Jeter. Good morning, Attorney Jeter, and thank you for joining us today. We have received your written report, and you have the floor. Sorry, Attorney Junior, can I pause you for 1 second while we get your mic working? Thank you.
So discovery has been completed in these cases. So we filed our motion for summary judgment on January 13th. Moving on to Studio 8 Hair Lab versus the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. This case is currently in the Court of Appeals. This is a case that is similar to Christian Healthcare and Sacred Heart in that the plaintiff in this case is challenging the constitutionality of various provisions of the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act. We have completed briefing in this case, so we're waiting for the scheduling of oral argument. Next, we have Vince Burgess versus the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. This case is in the Court of Claims, the Michigan Court of Claims. It's a lawsuit arising from the dismissal of a complaint before the Department of Civil Rights for insufficient evidence. In this case, the plaintiff filed a complaint in the Court of Claims. However, the complaint fails to put forth adequate allegations against the department. So we filed a motion for summary disposition in this case. Subsequently, the plaintiff then filed more motions, filed motion to compel discovery and motion for disqualification of legal counsel. We filed responses to those various motions, so we're waiting for the Court of Claims to make a decision on all of those motions. Next, we have Robin Rump versus the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. This is a case that is currently in the Michigan Court of Appeals. This case stems from the dismissal of a complaint before the Michigan Department of Civil Rights against Ms. Robin Rump's employer and her union. Ultimately, the department made a determination there was insufficient evidence to move forward and made the determination to refuse to issue charges in this matter. She then appealed to the circuit court. The circuit court, based on her failure to put forth adequate pleadings, specifically with respect to her failure to perfect her appeal by complying with the Michigan court rules, entered an order dismissing this case. She then has appealed that to the Michigan Court of Appeals. She filed her brief. We expect to file our responsive brief next week. Moving on to Jalen Brigham versus the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. This case was in the circuit court. Similar to the other cases I mentioned, this case was an administrative appeal where Mr. Brigham filed an appeal challenging the department's order dismissing the underlying complaint for insufficient evidence. The circuit court in this case made a determination actually on the merits. So we went through the briefing process, had oral arguments, and the circuit court entered an order dismissing the appeal. Mr. Brigham then filed more motions. He filed motions in this case for reconsideration as well as an objection. We responded to his motions for reconsideration and objection. The circuit court denied all of his motions. Moving on to our enforcement cases. McGreer versus the City of Detroit and the Detroit Police Department, and Liu versus Five Guys Car Rental. These are cases that were referred to the Michigan Department of Attorney General for enforcement of witness interviews. So following discussions with the City of Detroit as well as Five Guys Rental, we were able to schedule witness interviews in these cases. So we were able to close out those enforcement actions. Moving on to Sterling Dickerson versus Henry Ford Health System, Carlita Carr versus Henry Ford Health System, and Carol Brown versus Henry Ford Health System. These are also enforcement cases that were referred to the Department of Attorney General to enforce orders of discovery, specifically for interrogatories and requests for production of documents. We were able to obtain interrogatories and production of documents in all of those cases, so we were able to resolve those as well. That concludes my report. I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Attorney Geener, for your always comprehensive report. Commissioners, do we have any questions? You just did that well. Thank you very much. Seeing no questions, we will move on to the next agenda item, which is commission business. The first order of commission business is a 2025 annual report. We will hear from Harold Kaur, Division Director of Strategic Initiatives and Public Information. Mr. Kaur, thank you for joining us, and you have the floor.
Mr. Jack of all trades.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Harold Kaur. We did actually distribute to the Commission last Thursday, I believe it was, the fiscal year 2025 annual reports. It includes, as usual, information about the events that we've held, the data on complaint investigation, and other kinds of pieces of information that both help the public to know what we're up to now, and then also provide some historical references that people can look back on 20, 30 years from now to see what was happening in this moment. So those have been distributed. It will be on our website. I don't believe we're planning to actually print anything. We have not printed them physically in a while. However, we have on occasion done limited runs for special events or things of that nature, but it will be on our website within the next few days and available to the public. Actually, on the top of our website, right under the About MDCR, you'll have that link right there so people can see what we've been up to recently. That was all I wanted to share. Are there any questions about that?
Commissioner Lara.
Thank you. I've examined the report quite thoroughly, and I like the way that it's laid out. I especially like on the cover that you state that individuals requiring this report in an alternative format could contact the Michigan Department of Civil Rights. So I'm assuming that that means to have it more accessible for someone to be able to review the report.
Well, the digital version, thank you for that question, Commissioner. The digital version has gone through our internal accessibility checks, so it should be already accessible. That language refers to things like Braille or other kinds of adaptive processes that can allow people to utilize that report in a different format.
Great. Thank you. One more question. Has there ever been a thought to issuing portions of this report in different languages?
Again, thank you for that question. We have not honestly thought, well, I'll say I haven't. But I will say, though, that the department is actually going through some processes now to sort of looking at making the information that we convey available in other languages. For example, if you see our website now, at the very top of it, there is a link there are links for different languages where people can at least get basic information about the public portal and other things. So has not been something that we've prepared for. However, it is something that we're looking at in the future. And again, if we receive a request, we will happily translate that and make that available. But I do want to, as I said, we'll be translating some of our brochures and other things, so we can definitely put the annual report on that list as something that we can share in other languages.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Corr.
Mr. Corr, you mentioned the public portal, so for members of the commission as well as people tuning in at home, if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so the public portal is an online platform, so to speak, that allows people to file complaints, to request training, or to file FOIAs online, and they can also interact with the investigators or whoever the trainers are they can send documents, they can request meetings, things of that nature. It basically will avoid some of the administrative tasks that staff are doing. It will also make things easier for the public because they'll have that 24-hour access. They won't have to worry about mailing documents in or wondering what is the best way to digitally transfer documents. So yes, it's like I said, it will be great for us in terms of administrative reductions, and then also giving the public that 24-hour access to have those interactions with our staff.
Just an incredible resource. I appreciate you being able to opine on that. And I know in former Chair Wortham's letter at the beginning of the annual report, we also hyped up the public portal there. Are there any other commissioner questions or comments? Wonderful. Is there a motion to adopt the 2025 annual report as submitted?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Welch. Is there a second?
Support.
Supported by Commissioner Lara. Everybody loves it. Is there any discussion or revisions to the report? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to adopt the report, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and the 2025 annual report is adopted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Corr. Now we will move on to item B, committee assignments for commission standing committees. The commission regularly deals with certain routine matters and important civil rights issues that now benefit from the establishment of standing committees. Examples include personnel matters related to the executive director, budget matters related to the operations of the department and commission, and department matters related to civil rights protections. The 3 standing committees that were established in 2025 include Standing Committee on Rules, Standing Committee on Budget and Policy, and the Standing Committee on Executive Director Assessment. At this time, I ask that my fellow commissioners volunteer to serve as either chair or member of each of these standing committees, and I will start by chairing the Executive Director Assessment. For the Standing Committee on Rules, can I have volunteers to serve as chair and members?
I'll take on that role as chair again, since General Counsel Lamont does all the work.
Thank you, Commissioner Al-Hassan. Very excited to have you once again chairing the Standing Committee on Rules. Would we like to have a couple other members to join her?
I'll join.
Commissioner Barker, thank you very much.
I give credit where.
And if we could get one more volunteer.
I'll join.
Secretary White, thank you very much. For the Standing Committee on Budget and Policy, can I have volunteers to serve as chair and members?
Chair. I would like to volunteer as chair.
Commissioner Lara to serve as chair, Commissioner Welsh serve as a member. And Commissioner Roberson is not here, so I will pick on her and add her to that committee as well. For the Standing Committee on Executive Director Assessment, I'm happy to serve as chair, and I will look for 2 additional members.
Chair.
Commissioner Lara will be serving as a member as well, and I will add Commissioner Gasco Bentley to this as well. Thank you all. It was very collegial. We will now move on to item C, the Commission's 2026 priorities. So, my fellow commissioners, each year the Commission sets priorities of special interest for the year that the Commission will focus on and that aligns with the work of the department. Additionally, committees will be formed to take the lead and focus on their assigned priority and bring recommendations to the Commission regarding next steps, which may include but are not limited to holding special meetings, public hearings, listening sessions, inviting special guests and/or expert witnesses, and preparing studies and/or reports. The priorities for 2025 included voting rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion with a focus on AI discrimination, but I will note that the latter was now rolled into the Budget and Policy Committee. I would like to open up the floor for discussion on priorities for this year. Commissioner Al-Hassan.
I have a couple suggestions, and certainly I'm not wed to them, but I think it'll make for some good conversation and discussion. We had one public comment today. This gentleman indicated some issues with his employer. And not just given that, but given Michigan's economy is evolving rapidly with EV transition, AI, remote work, and gig labor, discrimination is increasingly showing up in hiring algorithms, credentialing, and layoffs. So some potential focus areas that we can work around are racial, gender, age, and disability discrimination in hiring and promotion, bias and automated decision-making systems, and protections for pregnant workers, caregivers, and returning citizens. The commission value I'll lift up as it relates to this potential priority is employment discrimination data is accessible, and it lends itself to, I think, hearings and some policy recommendations that could come out of this commission. That's one option. The next, given some questions around our annual report and language barriers, we could look at potentially a priority for immigration, refugee, and language access rights. Michigan's immigrant population is growing and diversifying. Language access failures can effectively deny access to health care, courts, and public benefits. Some potential focus areas could be compliance with language access requirements in state and local agencies, discrimination against undocumented workers or mixed status families, given everything we're seeing happening around the country, anti-Arab, anti-Muslim, anti-Jewish, anti a lot of things, unfortunately, and nationality-based discrimination. One of the commission values I'll lift up is language access is both a civil rights and government accountability issue, and so I think it's important that we potentially consider that as a priority. So those are just two priorities that I lift up as consideration and open for discussion.
So I'm going to distill those down to discrimination related to AI and algorithmic bias, and discrimination related to language access. Is that a good encapsulation?
Yeah, I would put that, yeah.
Good. Vice Chair Lara?
Yes, since 2026 is an election year, I would also like to have us consider continuing the voting rights priority. I think it's especially important that all citizens who are eligible to vote have unimpeded access to their ballot.
Any other commissioners? Very well. I will entertain a motion to adopt the Commission's 2026 priorities of fighting discrimination related to AI and algorithmic bias, fighting discrimination related to language access, and preservation of voting rights.
Move to adopt.
Motion has been made by Secretary White. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Welch. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion to adopt the Commission's 2026 priorities set forth in the offered motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and the Commission's 2026 priorities are adopted. And we will now move on to item D, selecting a date for the Commission's 2026 educational retreat. I'd like to ask the Commission to pull out your calendars and let me know what's good for you.
We usually designate a couple hours for that. How much time do we need?
Last year, our educational retreat convened virtually on Friday, December 7th. I believe that it was, I think 2.5, maybe 3 hours tops. I believe that this year we are looking at convening this year's educational retreat in May. Hopefully that's far enough out so we can grab some time on your calendars.
Chair?
Vice Chair Lara?
And I believe it's a virtual convening.
Yes, that will be a virtual convening unless the Commission feels strongly about having an in-person educational retreat. But I think for geographic concerns as well as time, I think virtual would probably be the best option.
Chair, if I may.
Commissioner?
I think it worked well to have it virtual and on a Friday last time, and so I would just suggest either May 1st or May 8th. Those dates work for, either one of those dates works, morning or afternoon, depending on availability of commissioners.
May 1st works better for me. Any other commissioners?
May 1st. That works.
All right, and the hard part, morning or afternoon. It is a Friday, and I know how I get afternoon on Fridays, so to make sure it's productive, I would encourage a morning vote.
Friday morning, 3.
Agree.
Agree.
Very well. Now, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the 2026 Commissioner Educational Retreat for May 1st at 10 a.m.
Move to adopt.
Motion has been made by Secretary White. Is there a second?
Second.
Support from Commissioner Lara. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion to adopt the date of May 1st for the Commission Educational Retreat, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and the date for the 2026 Commission Educational Retreat is approved for May 1st. The next item on the agenda is the application for bona fide occupational qualifications exemption submitted by Seniors Helping Seniors Greater Livingston. For members of the commission, this is the first BFOQ that we have entertained since 2003, so I'm actually very excited to bring this back up. The company has requested a BFOQ that would allow it to hire senior caregivers who are 50 years of age and older. The informational packet regarding containing this application, related documents, and proposed opinion has been provided to commissioners prior to today's meeting. We have invited the applicant to speak as to its request for a BFOQ exemption and provide any additional relevant information for our consideration. Seniors Helping Seniors Greater Livingston will be given 5 minutes to make its presentation, followed by any question commissioners may have, and then a vote on the BFOQ exemption request. Will the representative for the applicant please come forward, state your name, relationship to the applicant, and then you may proceed with your presentation.
Mr. Chair,
Attorney Satchel?
thank you. If I may, for the benefit of the public, provide some context and background before
Please.
Mr. Casco. Seniors Helping Seniors Greater Livingston has applied to the Michigan Civil Rights Commission for a bona fide occupational qualification, or BFOQ exemption, based on age in accordance with the Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act, Section 208. Specifically, the company requests a BFOQ exemption that would allow it to preferentially hire individuals age 50 and over. For the benefit of the public, a BFOQ is basically a legal exception that allows employers to make hiring decisions based on certain prohibited classifications, in this case, age, when that classification or trait is generally essential for the job's normal operations. Seniors Helping Seniors is a franchise of Seniors Helping Seniors, which is a Delaware limited liability company headquartered in Pennsylvania, Wyomissing Hills, Pennsylvania. The company provides senior care services in Genesee County, Livingston County, and Oakland County. The position for which it seeks an exemption is a senior caregiver position, and there are approximately 21 such positions in the company. The services provided by the company include light tasks such as light housekeeping, medication reminders, and meal preparation. In addition, it offers companionship services in the form of sharing stories, reading to seniors, and engaging in hobbies with seniors. The company employees also provide transportation services to appointments and errand runs for seniors. And if the employees are experienced, they can provide personal care, incontinence care, and standby shower assistance. The company's business model is based on hiring seniors to provide these services to its senior clients. I would note that the Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act allows this commission to grant an exemption from this prohibition, for any prohibition against discrimination, in this case age discrimination, upon an employer sufficient showing that age is a bona fide occupational qualification reasonably necessary to the normal operation of the business enterprise. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Satchel. Your name, relationship to the applicant, and then go ahead and proceed with your presentation.
Thank you, Chair Orlando, and thank you, Commissioners, for this opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Satchel, for that. My name is Clint Kesto. I'm an attorney, and I represent Anna Attard, who is a franchisee of Seniors Helping Seniors, who additionally is a nationwide franchisor. And there are other franchisees here in Michigan. However, my client, for her franchise, is applying for this. course, there are two kind of pathways to this when we look at what is protected. One is the ADEA, which is the federal standard, and we also in Michigan have a little bit more stringent standard with the Elliott-Larsen Act. If we were to look at this simply under the ADEA, what my client is intending to do in the necessary and normal business operation would be allowed, and the reason is to protect seniors or those that are higher in age from being discriminated against, to substitute for someone who's younger, perhaps cheaper or less costly. So I think that is kind of the sense that I would like to have this commission take it into consideration. But again, when we look at the BFOQ for this body, the standard is reasonable and necessary to the normal business operation. So what is the normal business operation? We're not your traditional home health care that goes in, replaces bandages, assist in your, common idea of health care. This is more peer-to-peer companionship, a friend, if you will, someone who you would share stories with, life experiences that you have, and the person that is you're coming into contact with and companionship and care with also shares. So with that kind of being said, it's a peer-to-peer support system. Of course, in the realm of possibility, a 25-year-old can relate to a 70-year-old. But from a practical standpoint, a 60 or 70-year-old individual would want to share stories, experiences, play cards, go to the senior center, go shopping, whatever it might be, with someone their age. The added benefit of this is not a traditional health care, but more of assistance. Let's go to the grocery store. I'm going to help you pick up items. We'll share stories on the way there. We're at home. I'm going to, maybe make a meal for you. Do you remember, the 1980s Tigers World Series? Things of this nature are what the concept of the business is. And it goes a step further because the point is that as people do age, certain family members perhaps pass away. Children may be in other states. Albeit they are independent and can do it on their own, perhaps this is an opportunity to hire seniors helping seniors, to get a friend, to get a caregiver, to help with the certain things while these seniors are living in an independent capacity. I also want to mention that my client's business model has other positions. And for those positions, we take whoever qualifies in the administration, in accounting, in management. But when we're sending individuals to the homes to be caregivers, but really they're peer-to-peer support individuals, the idea is that the individual's requesting the person of that certain age. And I know it can't just be based on what the clients want, but in order for this business model to work, it is necessary and reasonable to the normal business operation. I could get into case law if you would like. There's only a few out there. There are more on the national side and federal side, but with the ADEA standard. In Michigan, though, there is a predominant case having to do, and it's not age-related because, again, these cases are few and far between. This has to do with sex, and it has to do with male versus female Michigan Department of Corrections officers. And it has to do with the female prison hiring predominantly women there. And there was a suit made by males. It may have been part of the union, but there were multiple individuals. And the court said, look, because of the duty, because of the role, because of the safety aspect, you can hire men and women in other areas, but when it comes to these particular corrections officers, the Department of Corrections does have a BFOQ to only hire women for these roles. I believe it was out of 1986. Provide it for you. It was Nowacki versus Department of Corrections. And I forget the year, but if my memory serves me right, it was, I can't remember, but I think it was around that time. And they said, look, was there a basis in fact to the normal operation of business? In this case, we do. In our application, we do. We've provided peer reviews. We've provided empirical data from the national company that indicates that seniors, when they're with their peers, are living better lives. They are happier. There's a less chance of depression. And they're still getting their entertainment, if you will, which this is a form of entertainment, just like if you sent a clown to a kid's birthday party. Maybe not like that, but in that sense. The second thing was that the job qualification relates to the essence or to the central mission of the employer's business. In this case, it would. And the last kind of element is whether there are reasonable alternatives exist to do this. So I can't imagine a scenario where you train a 25 or 35-year-old to gain life experiences that a 60 or 70-year-old had. Because these are individual, they're personal, and that's the ability to share that experience with the client. Again, for the other positions, we hire at any age group so long as the individual qualifies. But with this particular position, and I think that there's a benefit. I think Commissioner El-Hassan even stated, even in this environment where people are retiring or going to a different direction of jobs, getting to a certain age, they still want to be busy. They still want to work. And this provides that opportunity. And it situates them with other individuals of the same age, their peers, allows them to get paid and help others. And I think there's satisfaction, gratification out of giving that compassion. And certainly the reception of it through empirical evidence and empirical data shows that the client, that individual receiving that care, is also having a substantial benefit. The last thing is these are not reimbursable items through, and I'm probably short on time, but through Medicare or any health insurance. It is a private pay situation. And I think in this particular situation, because it is narrow, because it is for this kind of select group and select position, it does embody kind of the spirit of what the BFOQ is for.
Thank you, Mr. Kesto.
Thank you, Chair London.
Are there any questions for Mr. Kesto? Commissioner El-Hassan.
First of all, I'll take speaker privilege to say that the name of the entity is Seniors Helping Seniors, and then your request for 50-plus really makes me feel old today. I'm a senior citizen, apparently. But thank you for your presentation. I don't want to delve too deeply into your hiring practices, but what qualifications would be necessary other than 50-plus? What are you looking for in applicants?
So just by virtue of example of the job application, who we're looking for, we're seeking friendly, caring individuals age 50 plus, especially those who are retired or semi-retired, who want to make a difference by offering companionship and a helping hand to fellow seniors. What you'll do, offer companionship, share stories, read or engage in hobbies like puzzles, assist with light tasks, help with meal preparation, medication reminders, and light housekeeping, provide transportation if necessary.
Yeah, so I know what the job description is, but if you're looking at if somebody applies and you're looking at a resume, what stands out to you as this person is qualified to do these things for this individual?
My client puts them through a vetting process. She wanted to be here today, but she, I think, was ill. And she looks at what their experiences are in terms of their prior work experience, what their relationships are, does a background check.
Yeah,
and does
that was my
thorough
next
interview.
question about background checks. But, there's something to be said about also having, so if someone was 32 years old and they applied for this position, would they be considered?
I think.
And they can meet all the qualifications. They can drive this person around, they can take them grocery shopping, they can do household chores. Sometimes, actually, senior citizens may prefer to have somebody younger. I know a lot of high school students go read to senior citizens, and they really enjoy that. So I'm just trying to say, like, where do you draw the line between, like, is 49 still not acceptable? They have to be, you know, where does that come into play?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's more of a preference. And when clients come to us, they're also seeking a preference. So it's, and they seek preferences in different areas, whether they be 70 or 60 or 50, male, female, sports lovers, book lovers. So we try to put those individuals to make them compatible with the client based on their shared experiences, shared hobbies, and shared interests.
So I'm going to ask a controversial question, just based on what you just said, okay? Because this came to mind when I read, and thus closer in age to their clients. This is a franchise, and I'm sure there have been situations where you've paired up a caretaker with an individual senior. Has there ever been, I don't want this to serve almost like a dating platform, right? Like someone says, oh yeah, I want someone to come in as a caregiver. My preference is this age. This male patient says, I want a female to come in and drive me around and do these things for me. I suspect there have been situations where these relationships may have become more romantic in nature. Is that the case? Has that happened before?
I don't have any from my client. I can't speak to it nationally because I don't know.
Yeah, but that is a
Overall.
risk. That's a huge risk when you're putting two people, I mean,
No, certainly. We have had no romantic relationships in my client's company. But we have had requests for individuals that speak Spanish or are Spanish-speaking caregivers. And we try to align them with that. We also look for individuals that perhaps had some caregiving experience, whether that be professionally through a job and now they have either retired or slowed down, or also with family members, because that kind of aligns to some of our clients' needs. Again, I don't know about a romantic situation across the board, but as we've been open, we have not had it. And as I'm getting some information from my client, she's indicating that most female clients of her clientele, for certain, are preferring a female caregiver to come in. And I think it's more of that companionship, more shared experiences. And I know how it seems when you said, well, what would a 35-year-old qualify? I suppose they would qualify for some things, but for the necessary business operation of providing seniors with like seniors as their caregivers, it may
well,
not.
it doesn't fit the business model, seniors for seniors. Seniors helping seniors. I mean,
Right.
it's in your business model.
You are
And
correct.
so how do you function as a business if you don't get this qualification? Like, what do you do?
I think it makes it problematic for my client and for other franchisees in Michigan. We have, from the national parent company, they say you need to go through your state
To get the,
approvals. There was a different option where we don't come before the board and we take our chances. However, I think in doing a due diligence and being prudent and being really serious about this business operation, my client has come to me and said, hey, I think that how can I do this? And I understand that through the Department, Michigan Civil Rights Commission, that this opportunity is there for these purposes.
how have you been operating thus far?
Well, this just came to light to her, but now the advertisements or the job postings don't have the age on them. But then it gets flooded and you have to vet these.
But your hiring practices have focused on what, to date?
As for right now, I believe Ms. Attard is hiring where she finds the need and does not want to run afoul of the Elliott Larson Act. And so if someone is qualified, she's placing them. And, this is fairly new We kind of just been in touch with Mr. Satchel maybe over the past 4 months or 5 months to be able to go through the process. And she just indicated to me she's frozen hiring for the past 6 months. And I think that it could create this exact situation where you freeze the process and it becomes stale. But with the opportunity to do this, I think we can, Commissioner Hassan, you're right that on the face of it, there is discrimination. Even if you use the federal kind of standard, some may qualify it as reverse discrimination. I want to hire it, which is allowed. However, the legislature saw fit to put in this opportunity or this exemption for these purposes, and that's why we're here before you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lara?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm bringing up a slightly different aspect of the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act. Having served on various healthcare organization boards, and it has come to light at certain times that a patient has strongly indicated that they do not want a black caregiver, and they want a white caregiver. And I am just wondering, how do you address that aspect? Do you really try and match race and ethnicity? And if that doesn't work out, say you might send a black caregiver to a white client, the white client will say, I don't want her, even though according to your qualifications, everything else matches. They're book lovers, they love movies, similar age, grew up in similar areas. But the disqualification for your client is that that person is of a different race or ethnicity.
Thank you, Commissioner Lara. And that is a great question. Because we are a private organization with private pay, we're also allowed to not accept certain clients. And when those clients come and say, I prefer something based on race, we do not accept it. So we don't accept every client. This BFOQ is limited only to the age aspect because it is the business model. It's also limited by virtue of, I believe, either the legislature or the administrative policy to 5 years where we can revisit it, or the commission can also request how has this been going and have there been any issues. So in short, this is just on the age side, and we don't have to accept clients that come in preferring caregivers based on race.
Thank you, but also as commissioners, we are always cognizant of all the different aspects of the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act. So excuse me for taking this opportunity to ask about that particular aspect of your business model.
No, thank you, Madam Commissioner. I think it's a great question. I'm glad you brought it up because I did want to answer it.
Commissioners?
The type of attorney? I'm a mechanic. People have problems, I try to fix them. I'm a general.
I'm sorry, sir. You can,
I'm a
guys can
general.
chat after the meeting. Attorney Satchel, do you have any questions?
No, I don't at this time.
There being no further questions from the commissioners or from Attorney Satchel, I will entertain a motion regarding the request for a BFOQ exemption.
I will make a motion.
Commissioner Elasan.
Before I do, I just want to thank you for your presentation. Certainly, we know that your heart and your mind are in the right place, and you're looking to do the best service for your client, and your client's trying to make the best service for her clientele as well. But given some of my inquiries and given the case law, albeit very slim, and given what we're sitting here to do with respect to the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act, I'm going to make a motion to deny the exemption request on the basis.
A motion has been made by Commissioner El Hassan to adopt the opinion denying the request for a BFOQ exemption. Is there a second?
Support.
Support from Commissioner Lara. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion to adopt the opinion denying the request for a BFOQ exemption, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and the opinion denying the request for a BFOQ exemption is adopted.
And I believe you'll get a
Mr.
copy
Chair.
of that.
Attorney Satchel?
Thank you, Mr. El-Hassan. That's correct. The department will send the requester a copy of your opinion along with an order based on your ruling today.
Thank you, Counselor. My fellow commissioners, at our last meeting on October 27th, 2025, we tabled this item, location selection for July 2026 commission meeting, and indicated that we would select a location during this meeting. The script says that we recommended a handful of locations, but if my memory serves me correct, it was between Petoskey and Houghton. I asked that we also consider suggestions from new Commissioner Scott Welch, as he was not privy to the initial discussion. Commissioner Welch, do you have any locations in particular that you have interest for in the July 27th meeting?
Excuse me, Chair.
Commissioner Lara?
Would it be appropriate for you to state at this time which locations have already been selected so that we may consider that?
Yes, I believe that we are meeting in April in Muskegon, and in October in Mount Pleasant. July is famously our nice warm weather meeting, and we tend to select locations where we can take advantage of that. And I believe I was the only one rooting for Houghton, and the rest of the commission was rooting for Petoskey. I will entertain a motion or suggestions from my fellow commissioners.
Well, I think Houghton is,
Houghton
some.
is approximately an 8.5-hour, maybe 9-hour drive, depending on who's driving, from here where
well,
we
if I'm
are
driving,
right now.
It's usually in 3 hours I can get there. If it's an 8-hour,
Right.
but still.
Let's go ahead.
For that reason alone, I would say, I'm just trying to sort of find a middle point. I know that some of us choose to fly
Mhm.
when it's, the distance is anything above 4 hours. You can't get me on a small plane, no matter how much you pay me. So I usually drive, and so I'm just, not to make this all about me, but I would just simply suggest, although it sounds like that, I would just suggest something that is less of a drive for those who opt to drive, if possible. If
So I'm hearing Petoskey from Commissioner El Hassan. Is there,
That's
4?
Commissioner Walsh was going to say Petoskey anyway.
probably so. Well, I've got a reunion that's in Detroit on that day, so wherever I am, I'm going to be driving back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Secretary White?
Petoskey meeting, what was that, what month was that for that meeting?
For the July 27th, 2026 meeting. Commissioner Barker?
I had suggested Petoskey.
Oh, that's right, you did. Well, I am hearing a bit of a unanimous discussion from my colleagues. So is there a motion to approve the location for the July 27th, 2026 commission meeting as Petoskey?
I make
So
a
moved.
motion that we settle on Petoskey being our July meeting.
Moved by Commissioner Barker,
Second.
supported by Commissioner El Hassan. Is there any further discussion? Let me note my objection for the record. All in favor of the motion to approve the location of the July 27, 2026 commission meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I think we're going to need a special meeting sometime in like August, so maybe we can have it in Houghton.
I appreciate that. Motion carries unanimously, and the location for the July 27th commission meeting is approved. Thank you, and we will move on to the next agenda item, new business. Commissioners, we have one new business item before us for discussion, and that is the assignment of a Rule 12 Commission hearing officers in the matter of Michigan Department of Civil Rights et al. as petitioner versus Jim Jasienski as respondent. General Counsel Lamont Satchel will present this matter to us. Attorney Satchel, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, one of the duties of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission involves the resolution of citizen complaints of discrimination based on any of the protected classes such as race, religion, color, age, weight, height, genetic information, national origin, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, marital status, familial status, physical and mental disability, and source of income and housing. The case before the Commission today is titled Michigan Department of Civil Rights, Xrel Taylor Lively, petitioner versus Jim Jasinski, respondent. This case involves claims of sexual harassment and discriminatory terms and conditions in violation of Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act, Section 5021B, and retaliation in violation of Section 701A and F of the Act related to claimant's rental of a dwelling from respondent. The case has gone through the internal Michigan Department of Civil Rights investigation process, resulting in the filing of a certified complaint against respondent. This case was scheduled for an administrative hearing before Administrative Law Judge Corey Arendt, which was held on July 16, 2025. Reviewing the record, evidence, and testimony in the case, the ALJ made findings of fact and conclusions of law, issuing a proposed decision on October 9, 2025, which upheld the charges against respondent, finding that petitioner, Michigan Department of Civil Rights, proved by a preponderance of the evidence that respondent sexually harassed claimant Lively in violation of Section 5021B of the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act, imposed discriminatory terms and conditions in violation of Section 5021B of the Act, and retaliated against claimant in violation of Section 701A and F of the Act. As the Michigan Department of Civil Rights is the final arbiter regarding this matter, subject to any appeal rights the parties may have, the Commission rules set forth the process and requirement for the Commission to review the ALJ's proposal for decision and issue a final order with respect to the charge. The Commission may adopt, modify, or reject the ALJ's proposal for decision, and after adoption of a decision, Commissioners may concur in the final order of the Commission or dissent. There is no time limit imposed on drafting and approving the Commission's decision, as it depends on several factors, including the complexity of the matter. At this point, the Commission must select a Commissioner or Commissioners to draft the Commission's final order and opinion in this matter. Traditionally, this selection has been done via blind draw or on a voluntary basis, and the Commission is, of course, free to choose any other selection process it deems appropriate under the circumstances. Once the Commissioners are selected, they will be responsible for reviewing the underlying administrative record and drafting an opinion on behalf of the Commission with any requested assistance from the Commission's legal counsel. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Satchel. Are there any questions for Attorney Satchel before we discuss the assignment of this matter? Since there are no questions, we will proceed with the assignment of this matter to a Commissioner or Commissioners for drafting a Commission decision. As Attorney Satchel indicated, traditionally the Commission has used either a blind draw or allowed Commissioners to volunteer to be the lead Commissioner in drafting the committee decision. Of course, we are not limited to either of these methods and may choose whatever we determine is appropriate under the circumstances. Is there a motion on the assignment method the Commission should adopt in assigning this case?
I'll make a motion on a volunteer basis because I really enjoy working with General Counsel Lamont Satchel, and so he's like, oh, not again, Zena.
It's fine.
But I am inviting one of my fellow commissioners to support the effort and volunteer your name.
So a motion has been made by Commissioner El Hassan to use the volunteer method as well as volunteering to lead the decision process. Is there an additional volunteer that would like to participate?
Come on now.
Mr. Chair, if I may, explain the process. I know we have maybe two new commissioners that may not be aware of what the process is like. And so what happens is once the case is assigned to Commissioner would read the record, and have discussions with internal counsel with respect to where it comes out, any issues that would like to discuss. And so staff would assist you in the drafting of the opinion to make sure it captures what you believe the ruling should be. So this isn't the case where a commissioner would be left to, particularly one who's not an attorney, to try to figure out the legal complexities or application of laws to a certain case. You would be assisted principally by counsel to assist you in that.
Enter Exhibit A.
Right.
Commissioner Welch?
I needed context. Thank you. Could have asked for it.
So we will first move on voting on the motion to use the volunteer capacity before we do the formal assignment, which we already do have. Is any further discussion? If not, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously, and we will use the assignment method of volunteering. Now I will entertain a motion to assign Commissioners El Hassan and Commissioners Welch as the drafters of the commission opinion in the MDCR versus Jastrzębski case.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner El Hassan, supported by Commissioner Welch. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Zena, you must be a glutton for punishment.
Static.
That concludes our new business. However, does anyone have any additional new business items that you would like to bring to our attention? Seeing none, we will move forward to the next item, which is public comment. This is the second public comment opportunity we mentioned earlier, and we will continue to follow the same protocol set forth by Deputy Executive Director Woolridge earlier in the meeting. Sabrina Fomby will continue to serve as timekeeper. Ms. Sanford, do we have any additional forms?
Hi, no one has, hi, this is Sean. No one else has filled out any forms. Was there anyone else that wanted to give public comment? No, we don't have any more forms.
Thank you, Ms. Sanford.
Mr. Chair.
I'd like to thank everyone who did speak in front of the commission this afternoon during public comment. Our next agenda item is commissioner closing comments. My fellow commissioners, are there any closing comments before we adjourn? Commissioner Lara.
Yes, thank you. Let me just pull up my comments. Give me a moment. So early, and I will be recounting an experience that a friend of mine had. Early January, on a brief trip from a local gas station to his residence, my friend turned onto a street and then slowed to enter his driveway. Flashing red and blue lights suddenly appeared behind him. He parked his car at his home and stepped out. What followed was a rapid escalation, shouting, blinding spotlights, and a command that shocked him. He was under arrest. He repeatedly asked, "Why? What am I under arrest for?" but received only orders to get back in his car and the declaration of arrest. The officer, identifying himself as a supervisor, made it clear no one more senior was coming. Things took a dangerous turn as more and more police officers showed equally barking circular commands of being under arrest for not following commands. Within moments, the quiet street turned into chaos. Police launched pepper spray projectiles that ricocheted off his vehicle inches from him. As he backed away, officers deployed a taser twice, causing him to collapse. K-9 was brought within inches of his body. He insists he resisted nothing. Once handcuffed and placed in a patrol car, he was astounded by the scale of the response. A convoy of officers and vehicles had assembled at his home, over 15 patrol cars and over 20 officers in under 5 minutes. After he was subdued, he was taken to the hospital where he went for shoulder injuries. The sergeant finally offered a reason to stop him: a supposed rolling stop at a red light. As they left the hospital, the sergeant delivered, "You turned a traffic violation into a weekend in county jail." He was booked into jail overnight, held for hours, then released the next day on a promise to appear in court, charged with a felony. What should have been just a simple drive home, just a minor traffic infraction, spiraled into a violent night at a family's doorstep. It caused injuries, trauma, and a night in jail. It delivered a clear, chilling message. When fear and confusion meet disproportionate force, the consequences are devastating. How does a rolling stop justify a response armed with guns, chemical agents, tasers, a K-9 unit, and transforming a driveway into a battlefield? This was not ICE. This was not the Department of Homeland Security, but rather it was the Grand Rapids Police Department. I am concerned that what is going on in our country is starting to infect local police departments. My friend is Black. He is an upstanding member of his community, and his family witnessed this. It has not been in the media, but I am concerned about what is happening and what type of examples are being shown to our local law enforcement officials. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Lara. Are there any additional closing remarks?
Yeah, I would thank you again for this first meeting, being sworn in, and I would also like to comment, just to thank Commissioner Lara for bringing that up. And we share the same heart as it relates to our city, justice deployed in just way. And so thank you for that. I look forward to talking more about that.
Thank you, Commissioner Welch. Anybody else? I will use my privilege as chair. This gavel is heavy, and I'm humbled by the weight and the responsibility of this office. To occupy the same position as the very first co-chairs, John Feekins and Damon J. Keith, is the greatest honor of my professional life. I'm inspired by their vision, and it's the same vision carried by former Chair Dave Worthams, who it was my honor to recognize here today for his service, as well as current commissioners Portia Roberson and Vice Chair Gloria Lara, who have also chaired this body. Other than Commissioner Worthams, I don't know how many past chairs have actually served at the same time as two previous commission chairs. So please keep your phones on, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to lean on my colleagues over this coming year. I have the distinct honor and privilege of serving as the first out LGBTQ commissioner in this body's history, and now being the first out LGBTQ Michigan Civil Rights Commission chair, elected by my colleagues who all have a long and storied history of dedicated service to the cause of civil rights, is truly a vote of confidence that I will strive to be worthy of. I pledge to work tirelessly and relentlessly advocate for the civil rights of not just the LGBTQ community, but of every protected class within the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act. Those who may face discrimination on the basis of their religion, their race, color, national origin, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, height, weight, familial status, marital status, or source of income. I'm honored to share this work with my colleagues Vice Chair Lara, Secretary White, Commissioner Roberson, Commissioner Ellison, Commissioner Barker, Commissioner Gasco-Bentley, and Commissioner Welch, who was also recently appointed to this office and who I am looking forward to collaborating with. However, it is truly my talented staff, led by my Executive Director John Johnson and Executive Counsel Lamont Satchel, that shoulder this important responsibility the most. You all got to hear about our annual report, which we passed today, that details the work carried out by our staff each and every day. I'm especially proud of the implementation of the public portal, which will allow the public to communicate with staff, submit digital documents, and automatically view service updates. The services available through the portal include complaint investigation, Freedom of Information Act filings, and outreach requests like training or public speakers. And I'd like to thank the entire Michigan Department of Civil Rights staff for their dedication to this worthy cause. While messaging with my friend, State Senator Mallory McMorrow yesterday, she said, "What a terrifyingly necessary and horrible time to lead a civil rights commission." And I don't think I could better summarize chairing the commission at this current moment. The Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act empowers Michigan residents to fight discrimination carried out by employers, public service bodies, places of public accommodation, educational facilities, and those engaging in real estate transactions. And it's critical that we are vigilant in fighting and addressing discrimination by those who fall under those definitions. However, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge this immutable fact that the single greatest threat to the civil rights of Michiganders and all who call this country home is President Donald Trump, as well as those who aid in his sinister and malignant dictatorial endeavors. What is happening across our country, especially in Minneapolis, Minnesota, a state which technically borders our own, should give everyone pause. Just this weekend, Alex Peretti, an ICU nurse with the VA, was executed at point-blank range by DHS Border Patrol agents while trying to provide aid to another individual being assaulted by additional DHS agents. These are American citizens who should never have had to have contact with Border Patrol to begin with, let alone have their civil rights trampled on by them. And this murder occurred shortly after the murder of Renee Good, also an American citizen, who was merely trying to escape the tyrannical and violent conduct of ICE. ICE and DHS's presence in Minneapolis is allegedly to engage in the deportation of violent criminal undocumented immigrants. However, the President, Attorney General Pamela Bondi, and Homeland Secretary Director Kristi Noem have communicated to Minnesota officials that their reign of terror will end in part once the state turns over their voter rolls because our adult president can't conceive of the voters of a state opposing him. What that has to do with immigration and customs enforcement is beyond my comprehension, and still, I'm terrified for the undocumented immigrants who, despite assertions otherwise, are historically much more law-abiding than those who were born here. I'm heartbroken that their American dream has turned into an unrelenting, sadistic nightmare. In 2025, more people died in ICE detention than ever before, and this year is already shaping up to be worse. If this can happen in Minneapolis, it can happen here in Michigan. Holding this meeting in Detroit, which is the largest majority-minority city in the country, should serve as a point of pride and be recognized as a celebration of our diversity. It is our diversity that gives us strength, and our citizenry should not be under attack by the very government charged with upholding our civil and inalienable rights. Every member of this commission is not only charged with defending the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act, but as we saw today, we also swear an oath to uphold the Constitution of our state and the Constitution of the United States. And when we have a president who violates his oath of office, the Constitution, civil rights, and basic human decency, it is imperative that we as a body stand in his way and advocate for the civil rights of every Michigan resident. Thank you. As we adjourn this meeting of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission, please note that our next meeting will convene on Monday, April 27th, 2025 in Muskegon at a time and location to be determined. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Alassane, supported by Commissioner White. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to adjourn carries unanimously, and the meeting of the Michigan Civil Rights Commission is adjourned. The time is 12:19 p.m. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
No problem.
1 and 4, let's see if I get it.
That was really something. I don't know, I'm like, what is it about Minnesota? What is going on?
I grew up in the UP and spent a ton of time